Hello, friends. Here we are. We're going to go back and do Isaiah 51. So we're back to Isaiah. I want you to remember that every word that we're listening to here was spoken by Isaiah. The Lord used him as his mouthpiece to speak, okay? And that is the essence of prophecy, the Lord using you as his mouthpiece. There's something I want to address. Matter of fact, a couple of things. I had told you about my friend, and I told you that the Lord showed me that she did not attain heaven. Now, you're going to hear pastors tell you nobody's in hell yet. From our perspective, that's absolutely true. Judgment of the world has not yet come. But the Lord stands outside of time. Where he is, it's the eternal now, okay? So that's how I believe he could show me what had happened to my friend when I asked. The other thing is something that I've been thinking about lately, and it is this. How can I be happy in heaven knowing that people I love have gone to hell, okay? And the Lord was kind enough to lead me to a teaching on that very thing, and there is no coincidence. And this is what I learned, and this is very important, okay? Right now, humanity is lost, all of us, okay? And some of us are redeemed and have been found. And we are amongst humanity as human beings, and we have a burden for the lost, and so therefore we preach or we witness, we tell our story to others, hoping that they may also be introduced to our wonderful friend, Jesus, okay? But when we die at the end of all things, when we are glorified, and that's the key word, when we're glorified with Jesus Christ in heaven, at this point with all of us here on earth, it's sort of like, how much do we really know about God? Okay, we know him as much as he's given us to know him, okay? And it's a journey and it's very exciting. But he's the alien, okay? And by alien, I mean the stranger. I'm not talking about whether we know him or not. I'm talking about in comparison to the human race, he's the one we don't understand. When we die and the end of all things happens and we're glorified with Christ, we will be with him and he will no longer be the alien. The aliens will be the ones that do not inherit heaven. At that point, because every tear will be wiped away from us, and because we are now glorified, and when I say glorified, I don't mean personally glorified. I mean redeemed. What do I mean? Let's just leave it there. Glorified with Christ. We are going to be more interested that God's ultimate justice and judgment has been fulfilled. It doesn't mean we're uncaring. It means that we're going to have a totally different perspective. And it sort of ties in with what I've always told you. When you get there, you're going to understand. So I don't want you to worry and think, oh my God, I just can't live in heaven if my friend so-and-so isn't there, or my relative or my this. You will have a different understanding and you will be coming from a totally different place. You will have been joined to God on some level that I can't explain to you. And what will be of paramount importance to you is that God has done all things, that he's arranged all things and worked everything out, okay? So that's the best I can explain that teaching, but it really helped me because it made me realize, it made me think about, I told you I've had two visions in my life, and one of them, I believe I told you I was standing in a room, and it was like, the vibe was like we were waiting for a party to start. And there was such peace in that room, but one thing I noticed was that I had no preoccupation with self. I was utterly free within that reality. There was no desire or opportunity to be selfish or to get mine. None of that. I had been released from that. And I actually wrote it down when I was writing down the vision. And, I had it 30 years ago. So it's around here somewhere. But I wrote it down. There was absolutely no self in that room. So self must, where we have that opportunity to be selfish, must have a lot to do with the flesh. But in this reality, I was so free of that. And so I'm sort of thinking that that may be what it means when we're glorified with Christ. There's going to be different parameters to our reality, okay? Not saying that it won't be surprising if somebody we love goes to hell or that we wouldn't care, but there is going to be a time where God is going to wipe every tear away, and we're going to have a different understanding of what's going on. And we are going to be more concerned about God's ways and what God is doing, because now the time of being with humanity, witnessing, will be over, okay? And everything's going to get sorted out, okay? So that's the best I can explain it. So we'll take it from there. Everlasting salvation for Zion. Listen to me, you who pursue righteousness and who seek the Lord. Look to the rock from which you were cut, and to the quarry from which you were hewn. Look to Abraham, your father, and to Sarah, who gave you birth. And she did. She had Isaac, right? And Isaac had Jacob, and that's where it all started. When I called him, he was only one man, Abraham, and I blessed him and made him many. The Lord will surely comfort Zion and will look with compassion on all her ruins. He will make her deserts like Eden, her wastelands like the garden of the Lord. Joy and gladness will be found in her, thanksgiving and the sound of singing. Listen to me, my people. Hear me, my nation. Instruction will go out from me. My justice will become a light to the nations. And that's what this pastor was saying, was that God's justice will be paramount, that's what everything will be pivoting on, okay? I think our perspective will shift, and in that sense will be very different. But yet, you're not going to lose yourself. I don't want you to think you're going to turn into some completely different being. You're still going to be you, and God's still going to be God. My righteousness draws near speedily. My salvation is on the way, and my arm will bring justice to the nations. The islands will look to me and wait in hope for my arm. Lift up your eyes to the heavens. Look at the earth beneath. The heavens will vanish like smoke. The earth will wear out like a garment, and its inhabitants die like flies. But my salvation will last forever. My righteousness will never fail. In a weird way, this is actually going with what I just told you about. Hear me, you who know what is right. You people who have taken my instruction to heart. Do not fear the reproach of mere mortals, or be terrified by their insults, for the moth will eat them up like a garment, the worm will devour them like wool. But my righteousness will last forever, my salvation through all generations. Awake, awake, arm of the Lord, clothe yourself with strength. Awake as in days gone by, as in generations of old. Was it not you who cut Rahab to pieces? Now, Rahab was a prostitute in person, but the name Rahab means pride. Was it not you who cut Rahab to pieces? And that's not talking about the prostitute, because she was saved for helping Moses's lookout. Was it Moses sent the men in to spy out Canaan, and she helped them. She was saved. So this is a picture of pride. Was it not you who cut Rahab to pieces, who pierced that monster through? And we've heard the sea monster referred to as Rahab also. Was it not you who dried up the sea, the waters of the great deep? Who made a road in the depths of the sea? He did. He made a road right through, so that the redeemed might cross over. Those the Lord has rescued will return. They'll enter Zion with singing. Everlasting joy will crown their heads. Gladness and joy will overtake them, and sorrow and sighing will flee away. I, even I, am he who comforts you. Do you remember I told you the story of when I was trying to call everybody on the phone and the Lord caught me and said, "Why do you seek your comfort from human beings? Why do you not come to me?" And here it is right here. I, even I, am he who comforts you. Who are you that you fear mere mortals, human beings who are but grass, that you forget the Lord your maker, who stretches out the heavens and who lays the foundations of the earth, that you live in constant terror every day because of the wrath of the oppressor, who is bent on destruction. And we're living in that right now. We have a lot of oppressors that are bent on the destruction of America and humankind. We're dealing with that right now. The Lord is telling you, don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid of all that. For where is the wrath of the oppressor? The cowering prisoners will soon be set free. They will not die in their dungeon, nor will they lack bread. For I am the Lord your God who stirs up the sea so that its waves roar. The Lord Almighty is his name. I have put my words in your mouth and covered you with the shadow of my hand. See, I don't fear what's coming, because I know I'm hidden in Christ, and I know that my husband will take care of me. I who set the heavens in place, who laid the foundations of the earth, and who say to Zion, you are my people. Awake, awake, rise up, Jerusalem, you who have drunk from the hand of the Lord the cup of his wrath, you who've drained it to its dregs. The goblet that makes people stagger, among all the children she bore, there was none to guide her, talking about the punishment that they went through. Among all the children she reared, there was none to take her by the hand. These double calamities have come upon you. Who can comfort you? Ruin and destruction, famine and sword, who can console you? Your children have fainted. They lie at every street corner like antelope caught in a net. They are filled with the wrath of the Lord, with the rebuke of your God. Therefore, hear this, you afflicted one, made drunk, but not with wine. This is what your sovereign Lord says, your God who defends his people. See, I've taken out of your hand the cup that made you stagger. From that cup, the goblet of my wrath, you will never drink again. I will put it into the hands of your tormentors, who said to you, fall prostrate that we may walk on you. And you made your back like the ground, like a street to be walked on. Woe to those who've walked all over you, people. Woe to them. Isaiah 52. Awake, awake, Zion, clothe yourself with strength. Put on your garments of splendor. Put on your Jerusalem, the holy city. The uncircumcised and defiled will not enter you again. Shake off your dust, rise up, sit enthroned, Jerusalem. Free yourself from the chains on your neck, daughter Zion, now a captive. For this is what the Lord says. You were sold for nothing, and without money you will be redeemed. For this is what the sovereign Lord says. At first my people went down to Egypt to live. Lately Assyria has oppressed them. And now what do I have here, declares the Lord? For my people have been taken away for nothing, and those who rule them mock, declares the Lord. And all day long my name is constantly blasphemed. Therefore my people will know my name. Therefore in that day they will know that it is I who foretold it. Yes, it is I. How beautiful on the mountains are the feet of those who bring good news, who proclaim peace, who bring good tidings, who proclaim salvation, who say to Zion, your God reigns. Listen, your watchmen lift up their voices. Together they shout for joy. When the Lord returns to Zion, they'll see it with their own eyes. Burst into songs of joy together, you ruins of Jerusalem, for the Lord has comforted his people, for he has redeemed Jerusalem. The Lord will lay bare his holy arm in the sight of all the nations, and all the ends of the earth will see the salvation of our God. Depart, depart, go out from there. Touch no unclean thing. Come out from it and be pure. You who carry the articles of the Lord's house, but you will not leave in haste or go in flight, for the Lord will go before you. The God of Israel will be your rear guard. See, my servant will act wisely. Okay, here we're mentioning the servant again, and this is Jesus Christ. Last night I said that scholars had wondered for eons over who the ally was, but it would have to be Jewish scholars because we know it's Jesus Christ, okay? See, my servant will act wisely. He will be raised and lifted up and highly exalted. Just as there were many who were appalled at him, his appearance was so disfigured beyond that of any human being, and his form marred before human likeness. Jesus was beaten to a pulp, his spine was hanging out. He was marred beyond human form. So he will sprinkle many nations, and kings will shut their mouths because of him. For what they were not told, they will see, and what they have not heard, they will understand. Isaiah 53. Who has believed our message? And to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? He grew up before him like a tender shoot. This would be Jesus. And like a root out of dry ground. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him. Nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering and familiar with pain, like one from whom people hide their faces. He was despised, and we held him in low esteem. Surely he took up our pain and bore our suffering. Yet we considered him punished by God, stricken by him and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities, meaning our sins. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his wounds we are healed. Very famous passage that was. We all, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us has turned to our own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. By oppression and judgment he was taken away. Yet who of his generation protested? For he was cut off from the land of the living. For the transgression of my people he was punished. He was assigned a grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death, though he had done no violence, nor was any deceit in his mouth. Yet it was the Lord's will to crush him and cause him to suffer. And though the Lord makes his life an offering for sin, he will see his offspring and prolong his days. And the will of the Lord will prosper in his hand. After he has suffered, he'll see the light of life and be satisfied. By his knowledge, my righteous servant will justify many, and he will bear their iniquities. Therefore, I will give him a portion among the great, and he will divide the spoils with the strong, because he poured out his life unto death, and was numbered with the transgressors, for he bore the sin of many and made intercession for the transgressors. That would be you and me. I love you very much. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll pick it up with Isaiah 54. And pray for me. I'll pray for you. Don't forget your Lord. He is holy, and you are going to understand much once you're glorified with him, okay? The suffering here is just for a moment, and it is terribly painful. I know it. But it's just for a moment, just like Jesus suffered on that cross, just for a moment, even though it was a few days. It's the weight of glory that's coming is going to wash all of the pain away. I love you very much, and I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.